Hi, Washington High School staff. So, at the beginning of this year, when we were doing our tech training and preparing for students to come back in a hybrid scenario, a lot of you requested a tutorial and training on how to hold your own digital breakout. This is a pretty hefty, time-consuming project, but I feel like it's worth the effort. So, I'm going to create a series of videos to try to walk you step by step through how this process works. So what you're looking at right now is my personal breakout that I completed myself. This is my first and so far only digital breakout that I've completed. For those of you who want some backstory, when we welcome freshmen to the high school, we use a freshman orientation day in the library with all the English classes to teach them the ins and the outs, what resources they have. But due to our current situation, we couldn't bring them in. So we created this digital version of our orientation. So how this works is you create a Google site. Google Sites is part of our Google Suite that we have here in the district, so it's a free resource. And each page has hidden clues that the students had to look for. So this is the home page. It has your heading, your directions, and then different little passages. Each passage, some of them have clues, some of them are just extra information to throw them off. So on the home page, for example, this passage here, the students read it, and I added a little hint down here at the bottom, look for the bold letters. And you can see that the S, the F, the H, they're bold and they're italicized. But that's going to be the answer to a potential clue. This is the other essential part, is this Google form. This is a very important part. It's what the students actually type their answers in. As they're going, if they get the answer right and they click off of it, nothing happens. But if they get it wrong or they leave it blank, this pop-up will show this is a required question. If they get it wrong, it'll also have a note that says the answer is wrong. And they can't submit this form until everything is correct. Now for this particular breakout, I had multiple pages, so I always told students to open it in a new tab. But I had information on who we are, our hours and staff, and I also had a lot of information on research and resources. Now this third particular page is really interesting because each image has a click or a link. So you see when you hover over it, you have to look from the arrow to the hand. That's another thing the students kind of have to look for. But when they click on something, it's going to take them to something else. Now, this particular clue takes you to a jigsaw puzzle. The students have to solve it to get a YouTube link, and then the answer is in the YouTube video that they watch. So if they pay attention, it's not too hard. The puzzle only had 25 pieces, and the YouTube video was 3 minutes. So while there are some steps, they were fairly short steps. I also provided teachers with a direct link to that video, so if for some reason it didn't work, they could just give them that YouTube link. So each of these is clickable, has some kind of puzzle, and I also make sure to give them hints throughout it so they kind of know where they're going. Now the kicker here is this Google form doesn't tell you what kind of clue it is. So, oh my, that's okay. There we go. So we know we're looking for a letter lock, but it doesn't say what page it's on. If you have students that might need a little bit of differentiating, it might be advisable to say letter lock from the home page, directional lock on hours and staff. Giving them some extra hints would be helpful. Another thing that I created for these students and for the teachers was I created this adapted resources page. So this first resource is every lock, the answer to that lock, a hint that the teachers can read to the students, and directions on how to solve it. So every single one of these locks has that information. But furthermore, I went through and I created 2 or 3 different adapted forms. So this first one is for the kids that can't handle switching between tabs. They can actually handwrite their answers there. The second, oh, and it also says where it's located. The second one has a hint written in as well. So they've got the letter type, the lock type, where the lock is, and then a hint that kind of tells them what to look for, what to read, or what to click on. And then this third breakout adapted form is for your kids that are really going to struggle. Has the type, the location, the hint, and then the answer key. I've given them one letter for each part of the answer, and then I've left blanks for all the other ones. So they know that this letter lock on the home page starts with an S, and they're looking for 4 other clues. So if you have kids that struggle, that might be a good resource for you. The final thing I'll show you in this overview video is once you're done with your form and once you're done planning, you're going to create this Google form and it's going to be embedded on your page. Now, this is what you will get. You'll get this form that's going to have all the answers. And it's going to have nothing but correct answers because they can't submit the wrong answers the way the form is written. But one very important tip I will tell you is when you are making your form, to have it record email addresses. You can see on this one, the first 8 or so didn't have that option toggled on, so I don't know who filled it out. But then I went through and I was able to track their emails and know exactly who was filling it out. So that is this first kind of overview video. From here, we're going to break down where you need to go, what resources you need, and how you can plan one of these awesome digital breakouts.